On my wedding day, my fiancée paid off my most trusted bodyguard to shatter my arms and legs and leave me for dead in a ravine. It was also her lover, Caleb Reed, could take my place and marry the heiress, Saraphina Vance. Except I was the groom Saraphina was supposed to marry. My own heiress. I died with my eyes wide open. When I opened them again, I was back on the day Caleb's mother was caught stealing. They were about to learn something important about me. My father named me Lucas Thorne, a name chosen on the advice of a mystic who'd warned him that a darkness, a capacity for violence, had clung to me since birth. A pack of wild coyotes tearing my stomach open, feasting on my organs. I died in agony and despair. When I opened my eyes again, the phantom pain was so real I lurched forward, gagging into my hand. Someone rushed to my side, steadying my trembling body and gently patting my back. "Luke, what's wrong? I'll get the doctor." The voice was filled with anxiety, but it sent a blade of ice through my veins. I looked up. The face was familiar, but seeing it now chilled me to the bone. Trinity, my only female bodyguard. The woman who'd been like an older sister to me my entire life. And one of the two people who'd helped Saraphina break my bones and dump my body in that ravine. I grabbed the phone from my nightstand. The date was from a year ago. I had been reborn. Trinity was still calling my name, but I subtly pushed her away and pressed the call button on the headboard. A maid hurried in. "Give me a glass of water." She handed it to me, and I downed it in 3 long swallows. When I opened my eyes again, they were chips of ice, devoid of all emotion. Just then, the estate manager, Mr. Pierce, came to report a thief in the house. By the time I ambled into the grand foyer, Mrs. Reed and her son, Caleb, were already kneeling on the marble floor. She was bowing her head repeatedly, begging for forgiveness. Caleb, his face streaked with tears, kept his back ramrod straight, his pale, almost feminine features making him look like a porcelain doll weathering a storm. I sank into an armchair and glanced beside me. Trinity's hands were clenched into fists, her eyes swimming with a pity so intense it was practically spilling over. "Lucas, it's all my fault," Caleb cried, his voice thick with emotion. "My mom only stole because I'm sick. Please let her go." A few of the maids nearby began to murmur their support. "Mr. Thorne, please forgive them. Mrs. Reed only did it for Caleb. He has kidney problems. He needs a transplant. He's so kind. He'll definitely forgive her. Sir, Caleb's not well. Please let him get up." Mr. Pierce frowned, waiting for my command. "What was stolen?" My tone was cold, and the room fell silent. Mr. Pierce presented a watch, a gift from my father for my birthday. In my past life, I'd let the matter drop once the watch was returned. Mr. Pierce had warned me that such leniency would make it hard to manage the staff, but Trinity had insisted a good man should be kind. My fiancée, Saraphina, had rushed over, holding my hand and cooing about how generous and gentle I was. And what had I done? Grin like a fool. Now all I wanted to do was travel back in time and slap that version of myself into oblivion. But since I'd been given a second chance, that slap was destined for someone else. "The Graf Diamond's hallucination," I said, my voice dangerously calm. "My father bought it at auction for $130 million. You two certainly have good taste." Gasps echoed through the foyer. "What? 100 and what? Did I hear that right?" The maids whispered, covering their mouths. 130 million. How could Mrs. Reed dare? Oh my God. Even if it's for Caleb's kidney, you don't steal something that valuable. Nothing the young master owns is cheap. Mrs. Reed shot me a guilty look, then burst into theatrical, floor-thumping sobs. "Sir, I swear I didn't know it was that expensive. Please, for the dozen years I've worked for your family, forgive me. I'll never do it again. You and Caleb grew up together. You don't want to see him die, do you?" I watched her pathetic performance with disgust. Beside her, Caleb's pale, grief-stricken face was a masterpiece of manufactured fragility, designed to inspire pity. "Mr. Pierce, what else did she steal?" Nothing, nothing. I swear this was the first time." Mrs. Reed blurted out. Mr. Pierce looked at me, his expression grave. He seemed to be debating whether to continue, knowing how I'd always coddled the Reeds. Trinity and Saraphina had spent years whispering in my ear about how pitiful Caleb was, how his family deserved my charity, that helping them was good for the Thorne family's soul. "Mr. Pierce, report. Based on the security footage, Mrs. Reed has stolen from the estate 13 times. Previously, it was mostly groceries and silverware. However, the stolen bird's nest and premium fish maw were valued at over $500,000 each. There were also your clothes and bags, sir. I mentioned their disappearance to you before, but you said you no longer wore them and didn't care who took them." The murmurs grew louder. The maids couldn't believe they'd been working alongside a habitual thief who had pilfered so much. I waved my hand dismissively. Mister. Pierce's eyes clouded with the familiar shade of disappointment, assuming I was about to let it slide again. Send her to the police, I announced. Hand over all the evidence. My voice cracked through the room like a thunderclap. The silence was absolute. Mrs. Reed and Caleb forgot to cry. Mr. Pierce's head snapped up, his eyes blazing with a renewed light, as if seeing me for the first time. He had been trained by my father and shared his sharp, ruthless instincts, a world away from my own foolish sentimentality. Mrs. Reed was stunned. When reality hit, she began to wail, beg, and throw herself at my feet. Sir, please, I was just trying to provide for my family. I'm begging you, please. The sound of her head hitting the plush Spanish rug was a dull thud. Caleb found his voice. Lucas, please, I'm begging you, let my mom go. I wasn't aware my mother ever had another son. Who are you calling your brother? Do you think you're worthy? Alpha, get her out of my sight. The noise is giving me a headache. The head of my security detail stepped forward with his men and hauled Mrs. Reed away. Her screams echoed through the hall until Alpha clamped a hand over her mouth. Caleb cried out and lunged for his mother, but my guard shoved him back. He stumbled, but he didn't hit the floor. Trinity darted forward and caught him, and Caleb melted right into her arms. Trinity, please help me, he sobbed. Beg him for me. Not as a brother, as the young master. Trinity held him, her expression pure, unadulterated pity. She turned to me, her voice sharp with accusation. Sir, this isn't like you. How can you be so cruel? Tell Mr. Pierce to let her go. Watching my betrayer in action, I felt no surprise. I simply crossed my arms. Trinity, have you forgotten you're one of my family's dogs? She stared at me in shock, as if she couldn't believe I'd just said that. Lucas Thorne, what did you just say? How dare you? I said your dog. Have you forgotten your place? Who gave you permission to use my first name? Trinity stared at my cold expression, realizing I wasn't joking. Her look of disappointment hardened into one of pure resentment. I was unmoved. Mr. Pierce, I will not tolerate backstabbers in this house, nor will I tolerate anyone who thinks they can lecture me. If it happens again, send them to the Elysian. The maids, who had been ready to chime in, now stood frozen, silent. Only Trinity continued to glare at me, her eyes filled with venom, accompanied by the sound of Caleb's soft weeping. Mr. Pierce, send Caleb to the Elysian as well. I don't like the sound of crying in my home. He can leave when his mother's debt is paid in full. Yes, sir. Mr. Pierce bowed respectfully and motioned for his men to seize Caleb. Caleb was so terrified he forgot to cry. He clung to Trinity, who transformed into a knight protecting her prince, actually fighting back against Mr. Pierce's men. I flicked my eyes toward my own security team behind me. They swarmed forward, pinning Trinity down while Caleb was dragged away. 9, another one of my guards, yelled at her in frustration. Trinity, have you forgotten your oath to Mr. Thorne Sr.? How can you defy the young master? Trinity remained defiant. I had spoiled her, and she had long forgotten the line between master and servant. The vast, opulent mansion felt empty with just me as its master. After the afternoon's drama, the staff had become models of quiet efficiency, their gazes a mixture of respect and fear. I was dining on Brittany blue lobster and bluefin tuna that Mr. Pierce had the chef specially prepare when a cool voice interrupted the silence. Lucas Thorne, were you throwing another tantrum today? It was my fiancée, Saraphina Vance. She moved with an elegant, aristocratic grace, her posture perfect. I couldn't help but sneer internally. You're a little late to the party, sweetheart. Your boy toy is already gone. When I didn't answer, Saraphina sat down next to me. A maid handed her a hot towel, and, after wiping her hands, she began to quietly shell a lobster for me. Her slender, pale fingers were adorned with crimson nails, a striking image. I used to think she was the epitome of my every aesthetic ideal. I've been willing to give her everything, slowly losing myself as I catered to her every whim, becoming a pathetic simp. Looking back now, I was a damn fool. When she finished and held the delicate piece of lobster meat out to me, she was met with my icy glare. Her hand froze in midair, as if pricked by my gaze. What's wrong? Are you still upset? Are you here to plead Caleb's case? Seraphina placed the lobster on my plate, every movement infused with a gentle poise. But who would have guessed that she was once just the disfavored, illegitimate daughter of the Vance family, destined to be married off for convenience? If my Thorne family hadn't taken an interest in her, she never would have had her moment in the sun, let alone been pampered like a queen. Caleb grew up with you. Why the sudden coldness? Besides, he's not well. His mother was just desperate. Where you can show mercy, you should. Oh, and how? Exactly, should I show the mercy? I widened my eyes and smiled at her, perfectly mimicking the fawning expression I used to wear. Saraphina, completely oblivious, continued, just drop the charges against his mother. If you're so concerned about the stolen items, I'll pay for them. And Caleb, I know you were just angry. You wouldn't really send him to a place like the Elysian. It's a sordid, chaotic place. How could someone like him possibly survive there? I let out a short, derisive laugh. Have I not been paying enough attention to you lately? Is that why you're in a bad mood? She went on, her tone shifting to that of a disappointed teacher. You need to behave, Lucas. You can't keep throwing these fits. You should be kind and generous. That's the man I love. Do you understand? That condescending tone made Mr. Pierce, Alpha, and 2, who were standing nearby, frown. But they said nothing, knowing how utterly infatuated I was with her, how I granted her every wish without question. Ha 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 ha. My laughter echoed through the massive, luxurious dining hall. Seraphina looked at me, confused. I laughed so hard tears pricked my eyes. Seraphina, who the hell gave you the right to tell me what to do? Do you understand? You think you're my mother? Even my own mother wouldn't dare order me around like that. Who the hell do you think you are? Seraphina's expression faltered, the first crack in her perfect composure. I leaned in, patting her cheek with my hand in a gesture of utter contempt. You're supposed to be a good little dog, keeping me happy. Do that, and maybe I'll throw you a bone. But you actually expect me to listen to you? To be gentle and generous because that's what you like? That's hilarious. Is your affection really that valuable? My father is Damien Thorne. Did you forget that? Seraphina's face went dark. A flicker of panic finally entered those captivating eyes. Yes, she had forgotten. My devotion had made her forget just how decisive and ruthless my father was. It had made her forget that I, the sole heir to the Thorne Empire, was destined to inherit it all. I wiped my hands clean and stood to leave. Seraphina quickly grabbed my arm. Luke, what's gotten into you? Her long-held position of superiority had made her forget how to grovel as she once had. She trailed off, unsure how to continue. Crack! The sharp sound of a slap echoed in the room. Seraphina's head snapped to the side. She clutched her cheek, staring at me in disbelief. Get out, I said calmly. My family will be in touch with your father about dissolving the engagement. Panic flooded her face. Look, I'm sorry. Don't be angry. She squeezed my arm, her grip surprisingly strong. Alpha, sir. Her nails are digging into my skin. Dislocate her arms. My voice was casual, as if I were asking for another glass of water. Yes, sir. Alpha and 7 moved with lightning speed. In an instant, they had wrenched Seraphina's arms from their sockets, leaving them to hang limply at her sides. A strangled scream escaped her lips as the sheer force of the agony sent her crumpling to her knees. Why, Luke, she sobbed, tears streaming down her face. This isn't you. What did I do wrong? Is this just because I spoke up for Caleb? Tears streamed down her beautiful face. I crouched down to her level, savoring the raw pleasure of her humiliation. It wasn't enough. Not nearly enough. I want to kill her right now, but it would complicate things too much. A minute ago, you were calling me Lucas Thorne and pleading for Caleb. Now I'm Luke again. You're quite the actress, Seraphina, but you displeased me, and so I'm done with you. She looked at me with terror in her eyes, refusing to believe it. No, that's impossible. I know how much you love me. Ha 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 ha. I almost cried from laughing. Oh, I had loved her. Loved her so much it led to my complete and utter ruin. Now, I just want her dead. Throw her out. From this day forward, Seraphina, Vance, and dogs are not permitted on the Thorne estate. Yes, sir. Mr. Pierce answered immediately, as if afraid I might change my mind. This was the ruthlessness a Thorne heir was supposed to possess. Trinity didn't show up all night. I knew where she'd gone, and I didn't bother sending anyone to look for her. The next day, I went out with my security detail. I have 10 elite operatives, all orphans raised by the Thorne family since childhood. My father gave them names from our house as a sign of ultimate trust. They were meant to be my loyal disciples. I never imagined Trinity would betray me for Caleb. When I arrived at the Elysian, a few of my friends from the city's wealthiest families were already waiting. The manager and his staff swarmed around me, escorting me into the most exclusive wing of the Thorne-owned club. Word of yesterday's events had spread, and my friends were eager to join the spectacle. I was happy to have them. In my past life, I'd orbited solely around Seraphina, allowing her to shine in high society. People flattered her to get on my family's good side, but she always insisted on attending events without me, claiming she didn't want to be seen as clinging to my status. All the while, she was using my family's name to become the center of attention. Now, those same people flocked around me. My gaze was cold and imperious. I was once again the crown prince of the Thorn Empire. Mr. Sterling, I said to the club manager, where's the boy who was brought in yesterday? Why isn't he working? The manager stammered, unable to form a coherent sentence. I led my entourage deeper into the club, and he deliberately guided me toward a private, well-appointed room. I raised a hand, silencing my group. From behind the slightly ajar door, I could hear intermittent sobs. Trinity, thank you for coming. I don't know what I would have done without you. A soft male voice cried. Trinity's voice was gentle. I'll never let anyone hurt you. Lucas Thorne went too far this time. When I get back, I'll be sure to teach him a lesson for you. At my signal, Alpha kicked the door open. Teach you a lesson. The two people inside jumped. They had been embracing and quickly pulled apart. Caleb peeked out from behind Trinity, his eyes filled with venom. My friends erupted. Oh my God, did I hear that right? A bodyguard said she's going to teach her own boss a lesson for the son of a maid. You heard right. And we just caught these two lovebirds in the act. Lucas, you really need to train your people better. This one's shitting on her own master's head. If you ask me, this Caleb kid is the real operator. He's got a professional bodyguard wrapped around his little finger. My security team behind me was seething. Alpha looked at Trinity with bitter disappointment. Trinity, you've gone too far. The young master has always treated you best. How could you be such a backstabber? Apologize to him now. Seven was just as furious. Have you no shame, Trinity? Who do you think you are, trying to take on the young master? You got arrogant because he was nice to you. Did you forget that, Mr. Thorne Sr.? Save your life? Is this how you repay him? The accusations only fueled Trinity's anger. In a fit of rage, she shot back. Lucas Thorne, what did Caleb ever do to you? Is this all because Saraphina likes him and you're jealous? Have you ever stopped to think about why we're so good to him? Oh, and what should I be thinking about? In my past life, I'd wonder the same thing. Why did the two people I cared about most, my sister figure bodyguard and the love of my life, both turn against me? You should think about why you aren't kind, she snarled. Why you're so cruel and ruthless. Why you can't learn to respect people. The people around us watched her, as if she were a circus act. I have been a fool to ever seek an answer. Some people just aren't worthy of kindness. They see it as charity. Only affection from another dog, like Caleb, feels genuine to them. She'd forgotten the times I snuck her candy as a child, forgotten how I always treated her differently because of her bright eyes, following her around and calling her my big sister. I gave her the best of everything, kept her away from danger, and treated her like a princess. And what had she said? That she would protect me with her life, that she would never betray my father's trust. But now, the person I cared for so much was pointing a finger at me, calling me ruthless, saying I was inferior to Caleb. Why should I be like Caleb? My status, my abilities, I was exceptional even among the elite. I had every right to be arrogant. It was pointless. Some people just aren't worth my attention. Mr. Sterling, take Caleb and start his training. Yes, sir. A group of security guards dragged Caleb away. I looked at Trinity, who was being restrained by my men, my eyes glacial. Alpha. Yes, sir. Trinity is guilty of insubordination. Hamstring her. Throw her out of the Thorne family. Remove her from the records and blacklist her for life. If anyone in my employ is caught helping her, they're out too. Alpha froze for a second, shocked that I would be so merciless. Trinity was still a woman, after all. Trinity herself was stunned into silence, her mouth agape. My entire security detail hesitated. So, you're all going to start disobeying me now? At my words, they finally moved. Several guards dragged Trinity away. A moment later, a blood-curdling scream echoed from the next room. Trinity was finished. My friends were stunned by my ruthlessness. When they finally recovered, they crowded around me, showering me with praise and compliments. I savored the moment. I was the one in control. After Caleb was taken, he was handed over to the club's top disciplinarian, a woman named Angela, who slapped him until his face was swollen beyond recognition. The other escorts, knowing he was on the boss's bad side, all took turns beating him. Within 2 days, Caleb was barely breathing. Mr. Pierce reported that with pressure from the Thorne family, Mrs. Reed's case was fast-tracked. She was sentenced to 15 years. I listened with half-closed eyes as my subordinate gave me the report. My father called from London. He has eyes and ears everywhere in the estate and was very pleased with my actions. When I told him I was breaking the engagement with the Vance family, he didn't object, simply saying he would call them himself and that I needn't be involved. He also said he would find me a more suitable match. This time, I would follow his arrangements completely. My own judgment, I had to admit, was garbage. Alpha brought news. Caleb had been taken from the club. Was it Saraphina Vance? Yes, sir. It seems some people were getting impatient. I've had bodyguards since I was a child and have never been successfully targeted by my father's enemies. This time, my father asked me to attend old Mr. Lynn's birthday celebration on his behalf. The Lynn family wasn't on the same level as the Thorns, but they were a respected family of scholars. I presented a Tang Dynasty scroll that Mr. Lynn treasured so much he practically wanted to build a shrine for it. Today, I only brought Alpha and 7 inside with me. The event was intimate, held at the old Lynn family estate. The Thorn family security team has more than just muscle. We have our own secure, encrypted network. A special alert tone chimed from my phone. I glanced at the screen, and my blood ran cold. Damien Thorn's plane has crashed. No survivors. I nearly collapsed. My body trembled uncontrollably. In my past life, my father was at my wedding when I died. Saraphina had dressed Caleb in my tuxedo and put a mask on him, telling everyone I was having a severe allergic reaction and couldn't show my face. Since Caleb and I were the same height, and he was only slightly thinner, no one noticed the switch. The last thing I saw before I passed out was Caleb taking Saraphina's hand and kissing it gently. Alpha steadied me. I whispered the message to him, and his face went pale. He hustled me out of the party. In the car, I frantically tried to contact my father's people in London. No one picked up. As I was wondering what to do, several cars appeared on the road, speeding aggressively toward us. Our driver was skilled, but there was no escaping the ambush. A deafening crash, and then blackness. When I woke up again, my entire body throbbed with pain. What sent a wave of panic through me was the fact that I couldn't feel my arms or legs. I was in a dilapidated room. A figure sat quietly in a chair, watching me. Trinity. She walked over to me. I knew it was you. Sir, she said. Her voice was hoarse and raspy, making her seem even more sinister. I could tell from the way she moved that her legs hadn't fully healed. You really are heartless, sir. I was so good to you, and you crippled me without a second thought. So, this is your revenge? Is my father really dead? Of course not. Relief flooded through me. He was safe. You faked the message on the secure channel to lure me out? Was it worth it? For man? I don't know, she said, but I never thought you could be so cruel. Do you know why I was? I stared at her, my eyes boring into hers. Trinity looked at me with an unreadable expression. Because I've already died once. Her head snapped up, her eyes wide. Do you know how I died? My arms and legs were broken, and I was thrown into a ravine. And then guess what? The coyotes came. They smelled the blood. A whole pack of them. They tore open my stomach, pulled out my intestines, and feasted on them. They ate my eyes. Every single one of them sank their sharp teeth into my flesh. What do you think that feels like, Trinity? To watch yourself being eaten alive. I spat the words at her. She was horrified, staring at me in disbelief. She crouched down, clutching her head, her body trembling. I didn't know if she was genuinely terrified or just acting, and I didn't care. So, it was me, she whispered. Yes, I said flatly. You and Saraphina, at my wedding. You broke my bones to make way for Caleb, so he could marry her and live a life of luxury. Trinity collapsed to her knees, pressing her forehead to the dirty floor. Her body shook with sobs. So that's why you hate me. Why you crippled me. I want to kill you, I replied calmly. Trinity said nothing more. I drifted back into unconsciousness, the pain my only companion. When I woke again, she was gone. I tried to move, but my limbs were still unresponsive. I didn't see any wounds on my arms or legs. It didn't feel like they'd been broken. Trinity returned that night. She put me in a wheelchair and took me to another location. It was Saraphina Vance's house. She dumped me in a lavishly decorated room and then disappeared out the window. A short while later, the door opened. It was Caleb. His previous, manufactured vulnerability was gone, replaced by an insufferable arrogance. Well, look who it is. The great Lucas Thorn. Look at you now. I said nothing, just watched his pathetic, triumphant display. Saraphina is going to marry me. Did you know that? She loves me so much. She'll do anything I say. And Trinity, she hurt you for my sake, too. How does it feel to be a cripple? Caleb stepped forward and slapped me hard across the face. A thrill of excitement flashed in his eyes. He savored it, then slapped me again. My head whipped to the side. He loomed over me. This is all your fault. My mom's in prison. But don't get too comfortable. Your good days are over, too. Saraphina has already contacted the Moffat family overseas. They're launching a joint attack on Thorn Industries. I bet old man Thorne is already at his breaking point. My expression didn't change. I looked at him and finally asked the question that had bothered me. Caleb, the Thorne family never mistreated you. We even sent you to the same elite private schools as me. Why you hate me so much? Because I'm jealous, he hissed. Why were you born into such a powerful family, while I was just the son of a maid? Why did you have endless money from birth while I had to bow and scrape and flatter you? And your bodyguards? I tried to win over every single one of them. Only that idiot Trinity took the bait. If I had hooked a few more, you probably would have died a lot sooner. So, you were never sincere with Trinity? Ha 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 ha. Her? Don't make me laugh. I can only marry a debutante, like Saraphina, or the daughter of an even more powerful family. Trinity was just a dog. Same as you. You treated her like a dog, too. No. Alpha, Trinity. They were my family. They share my family's name. Ha ha. So what if their family? She still betrayed you for me. All I had to do was be a little gentle, act a little pitiful, badmouth you, and shed a few tears. I'd patch her up when she got hurt on a mission, cry a little more, and she'd be completely wrapped around my finger. She even supported me when I told her I loved Saraphina. Pathetic, isn't she? Yes, I agreed. Trinity is incredibly pathetic. Your time is up, Lucas Thorne. Is it? I smiled at him. What a shame. Saraphina is probably already dead by now. What? Caleb spun around to question me, but just then, the sound of shattering glass was drowned out by a massive explosion. The luxurious room was instantly turned to rubble. Armed men in tactical gear swarmed in through the windows and the blasted open door. Caleb screamed in terror, but was quickly subdued. Alpha removed his tactical mask and respectfully helped me to my feet. Beside me, Six immediately put a small pill in my mouth. Within a minute, sensation returned to my arms and legs. I could move again. Caleb stared in disbelief. Did you really think I was an idiot, Caleb? Did you overestimate yourselves? Or did you underestimate me? He began to tremble uncontrollably. I am Lucas Thorne. My father, Damien Thorne, is one of the most powerful businessmen in the world, feared in both boardrooms and back alleys. He leads one of the country's top conglomerates. What on earth made you think I was some love-struck fool? Trinity? Saraphina? They're disposable. They mean nothing to me. Seven tossed a black duffel bag into the room. A round object rolled out and came to a stop at Caleb's feet. When his eyes met its lifeless gaze, a scream like a slaughtered pig echoed through the villa. Seraphina Vance's severed head stared directly at him. The stench of urine filled the air as Caleb wet himself and fainted from sheer terror. Hand Caleb over to 9. Alpha bowed slightly. I was escorted back to our private medical facility for a full examination. Thankfully, this time, they hadn't broken my bones, only drugged me. 2 handed me a satellite phone. It's your father, sir. Son, are you hurt? No, Dad. I answered, my voice docile. Good. The Vance family call, begging me to spare them. It's laughable. They let a single, illegitimate daughter team up with a minor branch of some European mafia to try and take me out. An assassination attempt on me. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I listened to the old man's arrogant tone and couldn't help but smile. You're the best, Dad. My son is the one who's brilliant. You gave me a heads up, otherwise that misses. Wells and my staff really might have sold me out. People are never satisfied. I hear Trinity turn on you too. Have you caught her? Not yet. Don't be sentimental. I won't. After the call, I rested in my hospital bed. When I woke again, 9 had brought in 2 people. Caleb, tortured beyond recognition, and Trinity, her arms and legs shattered. Please, please, kill me, Caleb rasped. I couldn't even make out his features anymore. 9 has a particular talent for his work. His head was shaved and grotesquely swollen. Both his hands and feet had been severed at the joints. He looked like a discarded ragdoll. Trinity, however, stared at me with an empty expression. At the sight of her, Caleb began to struggle violently. Trinity, beg, the young master. Help me. Trinity didn't move. She just stared at me. Sir, were you in pain? She asked, her eyes bloodshot, her voice trembling. I looked at her with contempt. Which time are you referring to? A sob escaped her lips. She fell to her knees, shaking, and began to crawl toward me. I had a dream. It was just like you said. I couldn't believe I would do that to you. I refused to believe it. So when Seraphina and Caleb told me to break your bones, I chose to drug you instead. I just wanted to teach you a lesson. But in that dilapidated room, when you told me about your dream, I believed you. It really happened. How could I have done that? How could I have hurt you? I practically raised you. The sound of her weeping filled the room as she covered her face, tears and snot streaming down. I never expected Trinity to remember our past life. But this was even better. I wanted her to die drowning in regret. Do you regret it? I asked, looking down at her broken, trembling form. I do. The day I took you to that house, I regretted it. I didn't leave. I listened from outside the window and heard everything Caleb said. I was about to go in and save you, but then I saw Alpha and your team arrive, so I ran. I couldn't face you. I was wrong. To betray my master for a piece of trash like him. I can never forgive myself. If you can't forgive yourself, then you should die. My cold words struck her like a hammer blow. Trinity, I said, my voice low, in our past life, I truly thought of you as my sister. What did I ever do that was so disgusting it made you want to kill me? I didn't. Saraphina and I just wanted you out of the way for a while. We never wanted you dead. It was Saraphina who attacked you. I took you to the ravine because you've always been frail. I thought if you couldn't climb out, you couldn't get help. I was going to come back for you after the wedding and take you far away, as long as you didn't interfere with Caleb. I never meant for you to die. When I went back, I couldn't find you. There was just blood. So much blood. And then what? Alpha and the others discovered something was wrong the next day. Your father took the entire Thorn security force to the villa to find you. But Saraphina had already taken Caleb abroad, claiming you were on your honeymoon. Your father tracked them down with his private jet. When he caught them, he demanded to know where you were. He was so enraged he shot Saraphina in the head on the spot. Then he had Caleb thrown into the Golden Triangle. When they captured me, I told them about the ravine. Your father had a heart attack. But before he collapsed, he ordered Alpha to throw me into the lion enclosure. So you all died? Ha 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 ha. I laughed until tears streamed down my face. Did they really think they could hide from my father? How'd I ever tolerated these clowns dancing around me? I should have just killed Caleb from the very beginning. Luke, I'm sorry. Trinity called me by my childhood nickname, just like she used to. Then, she bit down hard on her tongue and was gone. I watched it all unfold without a flicker of emotion. Caleb had already fainted from terror again. Nine dragged his body away. I would never let him die so easily. His fate was to live with endless regret, tormented by the knowledge that he had dared to be jealous of someone he could never hope to match.